I, 27F, never thought I would need to post about this, but my family is in a huge mess right now, and I really need advice on whether what I did was right or wrong. My brother Kevin has been dating his girlfriend Sarah for the past 5 years, and everything was normal until last year when Sarah started pressuring Kevin to marry her. I need to give some background about our family first so everyone understands what's really going on. Kevin, 29M, and I lost our mom to cancer when we were teenagers. I was 14 and Kevin was 16 at that time. It was a difficult period for all of us, especially Dad, who completely shut down for almost 2 years. He wouldn't talk much and would just focus on his work. Kevin had to grow up fast during this time. He started helping Dad with his small construction business while still going to school. I mostly stayed with our aunt during this period since Dad wasn't in any condition to take care of us properly. Dad remarried 3 years after Mom's death to Linda, who already had a daughter Sarah from her previous marriage. Yes, the same Sarah who is now dating my brother. Linda told us that her ex-husband was abusive and that's why she left him, taking Sarah with her. When Dad first married Linda, Sarah was in college in another state and hardly visited us. Kevin and I were still in high school back then. Linda was nice to us, but she always favored Sarah more, which was understandable since Sarah was her actual daughter. When Sarah started living with us after college, since she couldn't find a job immediately, things began to change in our house. She would always sit next to Kevin during family dinners and laugh at all his jokes. At first, I thought she was just being friendly, but then I noticed how she would find excuses to touch him or be around him all the time. Kevin was focused on work back then and didn't pay much attention to her advances. Things changed when Dad hired Sarah as an accountant in his company. By this time, Dad's small construction business had grown considerably thanks to Kevin's hard work. Sarah and Kevin started spending more time together at work. She would bring him lunch every day and stay late at office with him. Eventually, they started dating. At first, Dad and Linda were happy about their relationship. Linda especially was overjoyed that her daughter and stepson were together. But I always felt something was off about Sarah. She would constantly try to get Kevin's attention even when he was busy with work. She would get angry if Kevin ever tried to spend time with his friends without her. Once she even threw a fit because Kevin went to a baseball game with his college friends without telling her. Kevin works as the project manager at Dad's construction company. Dad built this company from scratch and it means everything to him. He always says that the company is his legacy that he wants to leave for his children. Last month Kevin told me that Sarah had been pressuring him to propose to her. He confided in me that he wasn't sure about marrying her anymore. He felt that Sarah had become very controlling and possessive. She would check his phone regularly and had even installed a tracking app on it so she would know where he was all the time. She had all his social media passwords and would often reply to messages from his female colleagues pretending to be him. Kevin said he felt suffocated but didn't know how to end things since they worked together and were practically family. When Kevin finally gathered courage to break up with Sarah last week, all hell broke loose. Sarah went crying to Linda, telling her how Kevin had promised to marry her and was now backing out. She said she had given him the best years of her life and couldn't imagine being with anyone else. Linda then convinced our dad that Kevin was just getting cold feet and that Sarah truly loved him. Dad had a serious talk with Kevin. He told him that if he didn't marry Sarah, he would cut him off from his inheritance and fire him from the company. Dad said he couldn't let Kevin hurt Linda's daughter like this as it would create problems in his marriage. Kevin was devastated. He has worked at Dad's company for the past 7 years and has helped grow the business significantly. Most of our big clients deal directly with Kevin and trust him. I couldn't see my brother being forced into a marriage he didn't want. The look of helplessness on his face reminded me of the time when Mom died and he had to be strong for everyone. I decided to do some digging about Sarah. I hired a private investigator to look into her past since something about her story never added up. Linda had always said Sarah's father was abusive, but Sarah never talked about him. What I found out shocked me to my core. Sarah had been married before, but she never told anyone in our family about it. Her first marriage wasn't to someone abusive. She got divorced because she had been cheating on her ex-husband with multiple men. There was more. Sarah had huge gambling debts and she had been stealing money from Dad's company to pay them off. The investigator found evidence of her transferring company funds to various personal accounts. I confronted Sarah with this information. She broke down and begged me not to tell anyone. She said she truly loved Kevin and that she had changed. She promised to stop stealing from the company if I kept quiet about her past. I didn't believe her for a second. The way she tried to manipulate me just confirmed that she hadn't changed at all. I showed all the evidence to Dad, including bank statements showing unauthorized transfers and court documents from her divorce. He was furious when he found out about the theft. He immediately fired Sarah from the company. Linda tried to defend Sarah, saying she must have had her reasons and that Kevin should still marry her. But Dad wouldn't listen. He told Kevin that he was free to make his own decision about the marriage. Now Linda isn't talking to Dad or me. She says I had no right to dig into Sarah's past and that I destroyed her daughter's life. Kevin is relieved but feels guilty about all the drama this has caused in our family. Dad is still angry about the theft but seems more worried about his marriage with Linda. Sarah has locked herself in her room and refuses to talk to anyone. I know I did the right thing by saving my brother from a manipulative person, but seeing my family fall apart makes me wonder if there was a better way to handle this. Should I have confronted Sarah privately and given her a chance to come clean to Kevin herself? Was I wrong to hire a private investigator? Reddit, what do you think? Update 1. Thank you everyone for your support on my last post. I didn't expect it to blow up like that. A lot has happened in these 2 weeks, and things have gotten much worse than I imagined. After Dad fired Sarah from the company, she didn't immediately move out like we expected. She locked herself in her room for 3 days, refusing to eat anything. Linda would leave food outside her door, but Sarah wouldn't touch it. She would just cry loudly at night, enough for everyone in the house to hear her. Kevin felt terrible about the situation and even considered talking to her, but I convinced him to keep his distance. On the 4th day, Linda came down during breakfast and gave Dad an ultimatum. She said either Sarah stays at the company or she would divorce him. She accused Dad of choosing his business over family and said he was being unfair to Sarah. Dad tried to explain that he couldn't keep someone who had stolen hundreds of thousands of dollars from the company, but Linda wouldn't listen. She kept saying that Sarah must have had her reasons and that we should give her another chance. Dad stayed calm throughout the conversation but finally said that the company wasn't just about money, it was about trust. He told Linda that if she wanted to divorce him over this, then maybe they should end things. Linda didn't expect this response. She started crying and ran upstairs to Sarah's room. Later that day, both of them packed their bags and moved to Linda's sister's house. But things got much worse after they left. Sarah started showing up at Kevin's workplace unannounced. The first time, she came with flowers and tried to apologize to Kevin in front of all his employees. When Kevin asked her to leave, she started screaming about how he had used her and thrown her away. Security had to escort her out. The next day, she waited in the parking lot for 3 hours until Kevin finished work. When he tried to drive away, she jumped in front of his car. Kevin had to call the police to get her to leave. But the worst incident happened last weekend. Kevin woke up at 2 a.m. to find Sarah trying to climb through his apartment window. She had somehow managed to scale the fire escape. Kevin was terrified and called both the police and me. I rushed to his apartment and found him shaking. The police arrested Sarah for attempted breaking and entering, but Linda bailed her out within hours. Kevin had to file a restraining order against her. He's now staying with me because he's afraid to be alone in his apartment. Linda has gone completely crazy since then. She's telling everyone who will listen that I'm the reason for all this drama. She's spreading rumors that I was always jealous of Sarah because I had secretly been in love with Kevin. Yes, you read that right, she's implying I have feelings for my own brother. It's disgusting and has made me physically sick. Some of our relatives actually asked Kevin if there was any truth to this. Kevin was furious and cut contact with anyone who believed these disgusting rumors. Yesterday, Kevin received an email from Sarah. She had recorded their intimate moments without his knowledge and threatened to release these videos if he didn't take her back. Kevin was devastated. He showed me the email with shaking hands. There were screenshots attached that made it clear the videos were real. Kevin had no idea she had been recording him. He hasn't been able to sleep since then and has stopped going to work. Dad is trying to handle the business on his own, but it's been difficult without Kevin. The harassment hasn't stopped there. Sarah created fake social media profiles and started posting about how Kevin had been physically abusive towards her throughout their relationship. She shared photos of bruises that she claimed Kevin had caused. Kevin has never raised his hand on anyone in his life, he can't even kill a spider without feeling bad. But some people are actually believing her posts. Some of our oldest family friends have stopped talking to us. 3 clients have withdrawn their contracts with Dad's company after hearing these rumors. Dad's reputation in the business community is taking a hit. He built this company over 30 years and now everything is falling apart because of Sarah's lies. Kevin is breaking down. He barely eats and spends most of his time in his room. I can hear him crying at night. Dad suggested therapy, but Kevin isn't ready for that yet. He feels violated about the secret recordings and humiliated by the false abuse accusations. He keeps saying that if he had just married her like Dad initially wanted, none of this would have happened. I feel terrible seeing my brother like this, but I know I did the right thing by exposing Sarah. If they had gotten married, Who knows what other ways she would have found to manipulate and control him. Dad agrees with me now. He said he'd rather lose his business than see his son trapped in an abusive marriage. Linda still calls Dad sometimes late at night, crying and asking him to reconsider everything. She says we're being too harsh on Sarah and that she needs help, not punishment. Dad has stopped answering her calls. He's already talking to divorce lawyers. I'll update again if anything major happens. Right now we're focusing on supporting Kevin and gathering evidence of Sarah's harassment for the police. Thank you all for your supportive comments on my last post. It helps to know we're not alone in this mess. Update 2. Thank you everyone who sent messages of support and advice about dealing with Sarah's harassment. A lot has happened since my last update, and Sarah's lies have finally caught up with her. Last week, Kevin received a message on LinkedIn from someone named Mike. He claimed to be one of Sarah's ex-boyfriends and said he had important information to share. Initially, we were skeptical since Sarah had been creating fake profiles to harass Kevin. But Mike suggested a video call and shared his identity documents to prove he was real. During the call, Mike told us everything. He had dated Sarah 3 years before her first marriage. Their relationship ended when he discovered she had been recording their intimate moments without his consent. She tried to blackmail him for money by threatening to send these videos to his workplace. Mike had gone to the police back then, but Sarah moved to another state before they could investigate properly. Mike wasn't alone. He connected us with 2 other men who had similar experiences with Sarah. One of them was even married to her briefly before her first marriage that we knew about. Yes, Sarah had been married twice before, not once like we originally thought. Both marriages ended because of her infidelity and blackmail attempts. The most shocking part was when Mike showed us some old photos of Sarah at casinos. She had apparently been banned from 3 different casinos in Vegas for counting cards and causing fights when she lost money. This explained where all the money she stole from Dad's company had gone. We took all this evidence to the police. They already had the report about her breaking into Kevin's apartment and the recent blackmail attempts. With Mike and the other victims coming forward, they finally had enough to arrest her. When the police raided Linda's sister's house where Sarah was staying, they found multiple hard drives containing intimate videos of not just Kevin and her previous partners, but also several other men we didn't know about. They also found fake IDs and credit cards in different names. The investigation revealed something even more disturbing. Sarah hadn't just been stealing from Dad's company to pay gambling debts. She had been running a sophisticated blackmail operation for years. She would target successful men, record intimate moments without their knowledge, and then threaten to expose them unless they paid her. Most of her victims were married men who paid the money to avoid scandal. The amount she stole from Dad's company was also much larger than we initially discovered. The forensic accountants found that she had been transferring company funds to offshore accounts for over 3 years. The total amount was close to $500,000. Dad was devastated when he found out. She had almost bankrupted his life's work. Linda finally saw Sarah's true colors when the police showed her all the evidence. She broke down completely when she learned about the multiple marriages and the blackmail operation. She came to our house to apologize to Dad and Kevin. She said she had no idea her daughter was capable of such things and begged for forgiveness. But Dad wasn't ready to forgive and forget. He told Linda that he couldn't trust her anymore after she chose to believe Sarah's lies over her family. When Sarah was threatening to release Kevin's private videos, Linda had defended her actions, saying Kevin must have agreed to the recordings. When Sarah was spreading false abuse allegations, Linda had supported her instead of even asking Kevin for his side of the story. Dad went ahead with the divorce proceedings despite Linda's pleas to reconsider. He said their marriage was over the moment she gave him that ultimatum about Sarah's job. Linda tried to argue that she was just being a mother and protecting her daughter, but Dad said a real mother would have held her daughter accountable for her actions instead of enabling her crimes. Sarah is now in jail awaiting trial. She's facing multiple charges including grand theft, invasion of privacy, extortion, and fraud. The police are still investigating and say more charges might be added as they uncover more evidence. They found lists of potential targets in her phone, suggesting she was planning to continue her blackmail scheme. Some of our relatives who had believed Sarah's abuse allegations are now calling to apologize to Kevin. But he doesn't want to talk to any of them. He said anyone who could believe he was capable of abuse doesn't deserve to be in his life. I agree with him. I'll update again when there's more news about the trial. Right now we're focused on helping Dad save his company from the financial damage Sarah caused. Kevin is doing better and has started working again. Knowing that Sarah is behind bars has helped him feel safer. Update 3. This will probably be my final update. Thank you everyone who has followed our story and supported us through this nightmare. The past 3 months have been challenging, but things are finally settling down. Sarah's trial was last month. She pleaded guilty to most charges after the prosecutors showed her the mountain of evidence they had gathered. She was sentenced to 8 years in prison with no possibility of parole for the first 5 years. The judge was particularly harsh because of the systematic nature of her crimes and the number of victims involved. During the sentencing hearing, 12 of her previous victims came forward to testify. Some of them had paid her hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years to keep their videos private. One man had even attempted suicide after she sent the videos to his wife despite him paying the money. The judge ordered her to pay restitution to all her victims, including the money she stole from Dad's company. Linda tried to speak in Sarah's defense during the trial, claiming her daughter needed mental health treatment rather than prison time. But her plea backfired when the prosecution proved that Sarah had been evaluated by 3 different psychiatrists who all concluded she was fully aware of her actions. The methodical way she maintained records of her victims and managed her offshore accounts showed this wasn't about mental health, it was calculated criminal behavior. The divorce between Dad and Linda was finalized 2 weeks ago. Linda tried everything to stop it. She sent Dad lengthy emails apologizing for not believing him about Sarah. She even showed up at his office several times begging for another chance. But Dad stayed firm in his decision. He told her that watching her defend Sarah even after knowing everything she had done showed him that their marriage had been built on lies just like Sarah's relationships. Linda moved to California last week to live with her sister. Before leaving, she left letters for both Kevin and me, apologizing for believing Sarah's lies and spreading those disgusting rumors about me and Kevin. We didn't read the letters. Dad burned them in the backyard grill while we had a barbecue. Kevin is doing much better now. The company managed to recover most of the money Sarah stole thanks to the FBI tracking down her offshore accounts. Several of our old clients have returned after learning the truth about Sarah's lies. Kevin has thrown himself into work, securing 3 major contracts last month alone. As for me, some relatives still think I went too far by hiring a private investigator. They say I should have handled it within the family instead of exposing Sarah's past. But seeing Sarah's long list of victims during the trial proved that keeping quiet about abuse only protects the abuser. I don't regret anything I did. Dad surprised us last week by bringing home adoption papers for his company. He had the ownership legally transferred to both Kevin and me, with Kevin as the majority shareholder since he runs the daily operations. He said he wanted to make it clear that this company belongs to his real family, the people who stood by him when things got tough. Our family is smaller now, but we're closer than ever. Every Sunday, the 3 of us have dinner together and watch old movies like we used to do when Mom was alive. Sometimes we talk about everything that happened, but mostly we focus on the future. We learned the hard way that just because someone is family, doesn't mean you have to accept their toxic behavior. Sometimes cutting people out, no matter who they are, is the only way to find peace.